Welcome to the channel where I have to explain how the movies and TV shows you love and enjoy are a broken mess of brain dead stupid. Because it's not like you're going to figure it out on your own. And today I will be discussing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I knew going into this movie it was a mistake. I knew it was going to be a mistake. But I wanted to see it because, okay, there's a bunch of things I want to cover about this movie, and I'm probably going to be all over the place. I apologize. It's just how I do these type of videos. But there are a few things I want to get off my chest first that I want to address before we get to the bulk of the movie. At no time during this movie did I ever cry, did I ever tear up, and did I ever get sad. The reason being is I'm not a 7-year-old little girl. The other reason being is I don't really care what happens to a CGI'd animal. It doesn't really mean anything to me. Another thing is, what is it with these major supervillains being taken out by animals? Like, the Kang loses a fight to ants, and the High Evolutionary loses a fight to a raccoon. I'm half expecting that if they ever introduce Dr. Doom, I bet you he's going to lose to a squirrel. But, oh, and speaking of animals, a spoiler for all of you. You know how at the end of the movie, they end up rescuing all the animals? Okay, just for all of you who really love that part of the movie, I hate to break it to you, but they rescued livestock. The citizens of nowhere are going to have those animals on a barbecue by the end of the week. They're all going to be eaten. They're food. Wait, when they're taking the animals off the ship, you actually have one of the residents of nowhere going, I thought we were only saving the higher life forms. He doesn't consider these animals anything special. They're going to be eaten. So they were rescued from an exploding ship so that they could be the food for the residents of nowhere for a couple of weeks. Just thought I'd let you know that they're all dead. They're all food. What was the other one? Oh yeah, okay. There's this line in this movie I have to address because it's okay. In the scene where Rocket is almost dying and he has that vision or dream or whatever where he's talking to Lila. Lila says to Rocket, it's been your story all along. You just didn't know it. And I heard that and I'm going, well, that's bullshit. No, it's not. How has this been Rocket's story all along? Oh, wait, it hasn't. Somebody explain to me how Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was Rocket's story all along when the main focus of the movie was the relationship between Quill and his father, Ego. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was more about the story of the Ravagers and Yondu than it ever was about Rocket. But somehow, this movie is trying to tell us that this was Rocket's story all along. Oh wait, they're lying. This movie is actually lying to you, to the audience, to make this movie be more than what it actually is. First of all, this is supposed to have been the third movie, the movie that's supposed to end the Guardians of the Galaxy story movies. This was supposed to be their send-off. And it was a flashback movie of Rocket Raccoon. How is this the end? Oh, and not only that. So I'm thinking I'm figuring, some of the Guardians are going to die. They're going to, find something new. Something's going to happen in this movie that's going to cause them to disband. And throughout the entire movie, nothing happens. And it's like, well, why do they disband? When do they actually disband? Well, the last 5 minutes of the movie, half of them go, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be part of the Guardians of the Galaxy anymore. I'm leaving. That's it. That's why this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because half of the Guardians of the Galaxy are going, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore. Bye, see ya. This is the grand finale. Speaking of animals, speaking of the animals, because apparently that's a major theme. I love how so many of you are considering the High Evolutionary one of the best supervillains in the MCU because he was mean to animals. That's it. He's the only reason he's this, apparently the only reason, because there's nothing that the High Evolutionary hasn't done that a bunch of other MCU supervillains have done. They've done the exact same thing. But the only thing that's different between the High Evolutionary and any of the other major, MCU supervillains is that the High Evolutionary is also mean to animals. So you are ranking the High Evolutionary as one of the best MCU supervillains based solely on the fact that he was mean to animals. Because here's the thing about the High Evolutionary. He's an idiot. Nothing he does makes any sense. Because that's the only way you can have this movie. Shocker. The only way you can have an MCU movie is if you have Brain Dead Stupid so that you can keep the movie going forward. Plus Warlock. Warlock was an idiot. Why was Warlock even in this movie? Anyway, I'll get to him. The High Evolution, nothing he does makes any sense because that's the only way you can have this movie. First off, there's a kill switch. If you try to heal Rocket Raccoon. Now, I can understand why there would be a kill switch that would cause him to detonate if anybody starts poking around in the cyber technology or the circuitry. I can get that because it's proprietary information, which the High Evolutionary considers unnecessary anyway and irrelevant and garbage and useless. But apparently it's also proprietary information. Apparently in this movie, two things can be true at the same time, even though they actually contradict each other, but whatever. So I can understand that. But why would healing the Rocket Raccoon cause the kill switch to explode and cause him to die? Seeing as how the High Evolutionary wants Rocket Raccoon alive in the goddamn first place. By the end of the movie, you have the High Evolutionary going, you can kill and wipe out everything. I don't care. The only thing that matters is Rocket Raccoon. But at the same time, he can die, and apparently that's no big deal. It's like, movie, you can't have both. You can't have both because they contradict each other. Like, why would it, seeing as how the High Evolutionary wants Rocket Raccoon alive, wouldn't he make sure that he stays alive? Why wouldn't he remotely disengage the kill switch in case he's actually injured and somebody wants to heal him, seeing as how the High Evolutionary wants him alive? But the whole point of this dumbass, stupid plot element is that's what kicks off the movie in the first place. So they end up going to get him. Then we have the planet. We have the planet explode. Okay, the planet exploding. First of all, he doesn't actually blow up the planet, but I'll get to that later. But let's go with the fact that he blows up the planet, okay? Why? Why? There's absolutely no justification or reason or explanation whatsoever in regards to having to blow up the planet. Because first of all, there's a flashback of Rocket Raccoon as a young Rocket Raccoon with the High Evolutionary, where they're on Counter Earth. And they look out the window and they see the city. Meaning, there's already people on Counter Earth. Because there's a city full of them. The Animen haven't been invented yet. Because it's the flashback of Rocket Raccoon still as a young Rocket Raccoon. The Animen haven't been invented yet. So, who are these people that are on this planet years before the Animen even come into existence? I thought the whole point of Counter Earth was for the Animen. Well, apparently, no, it's not. It's for whoever the hell's on the planet in the first place. And so he created Counter Earth, not really for the Animen or for his perfect civilization, but for whatever civilization's already on the planet in the first place. Whatever. So here's the thing. When he eventually creates the Animen, when you see the scene of, the Guardians of the Galaxy and the ship flying towards Counter Earth and they see the city, nobody in the city are Animen. None of the people or whatever creature or aliens that are on Counter Earth are the Animen. They are whatever aliens have been there since Rocket Raccoon was a small little, was still young. The only place that actually has the Animen is a suburb area. The Animen are in a suburb area. They're not even part of the city. Like you guys are having this mentality that entire city is full of Animen. No, it's not. It's full of whatever civilization has been there since Rocket Raccoon was still young. But here's the other thing. So the planet blows up. It doesn't, but I'll get to that later. You're all upset that, oh my God, he killed the Animen. But you don't seem to have a problem that he killed off all of the people in the city that aren't Animen. What? Again, the only reason you consider the High Evolutionary one of the best MCU supervillains is not because he blew up a planet and killed off whatever civilization of aliens were in that city. No. He's a major villain because he killed animals. That's it. But then I'm going, okay, so let me see if I get this straight. He wants to blow up the planet. So why were there all those little mini explosions scattered around all over the place? What was the point of those? What was the point of all these little minor explosions if the end result was he intends on blowing up the planet anyway? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Just accept it and let's move on. Like if he intends on blowing up the planet anyway, right? Like the whole planet is supposed to go boom. So then what's the point of all these little mini explosions anyway? Nothing. But then let me see if I get this straight. He built Counter Earth with a bomb in the planet, so that way if he ever decides to want to blow it up, he's got a bomb in the planet so that he could blow it up. Why would he build a planet with a bomb in it so that he could eventually blow up the planet? Oh, and by the way, and not only that, his headquarters, that building that's his headquarters, is apparently a spaceship. Because the spaceship is the building is slowly coming out of the ground, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm going, where are you going? Like, where are you going, High Evolutionary? Okay, sure, you're gonna blow up the planet and you want to escape the exploding planet. Fine. Where are you going? I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Just accept it and let's move on. And it's like, how, not only that, he's going, yeah, I'm just going to blow up the planet. No problem. Why? Because is he that easily able to build planets? How is he able to build planets? I don't know. You don't know. No, there's no explanation on how the high evolutionary, who's basically a genius in biology, somehow has the ability to create planets. Hey, if he has the ability to create planets, somebody introduce this guy to Galactus, because that'll solve a major cosmic issue in the MCU. Okay? If Galactus ever shows up in the MCU, make sure that you keep High Evolutionary alive, because apparently the High Evolutionary is just able to create planets somehow. But here's the other thing about blowing up the planet. He's going to blow up the planet because, Rocket Raccoon, Rocket, Lila, Teeth, and Floor are Experiment 89. The Animen are Experiment 90, right? Okay. So the Animen, Experiment 90, have been living on Counter-Earth for however long, right? But the movie has established with a High Evolutionary that once it's established that an experiment is a failure and serves no more purpose, he kills them off, correct? Because when Rocket Raccoon figures out what's wrong with the machine, how does Rocket Raccoon figure out what's wrong with the machine? He has no idea how it works inside. He has no idea what the mechanical creation of the machine is. It's not like the High Evolutionary taught him how to make the machine. Rocket Raccoon has absolutely no knowledge of how the machine works or how it could possibly be wrong. But apparently, he just knows. He just knows. Even the High Evolutionary goes to Rocket Raccoon. How could you possibly know this? How could you possibly know this? Because even the movie knows it's so blatantly ridiculous for Rocket to actually know this. They even have the High Evolutionary question him. Do they ever answer it? Do they actually have Rocket answer it? Well, of course not, because they have absolutely no way to justify Rocket Raccoon being able to actually know how the damn machine could possibly be fixed or what was wrong with it. Because that's what the movie does. It just has things happen because it wants it to happen. So anyway, once Rocket explains what's wrong with the machine, the High Evolutionary goes, okay, great. I now have Experiment 90. Experiment 89, which is Rocket, Teeth, Walrus, and Floor, and all the other animals, right? Okay, you're useless. You're useless. I'm killing you off tomorrow. And it's like, okay, I get it. He's psychotic. That's a way of establishing his characteristic. That's fine. That's supposed to be his MO. That once an experiment is considered no longer a failure and he wants to start the next experiment, he simply kills off the previous experiment, correct? Okay. Here's the problem. The Animen, Experiment 90, have been living on Counter-Earth for years, yet at the same time, while the Animen, which the High Evolutionary has established is a failure, because when Quill talks to the High Evolutionary and talks about how they're violent and how they're selling math, the High Evolutionary goes, yeah, I know they've been a failure for years. So he knew that the Experiment 90 was a failure for years because he's had Experiment 90, those kids in the ship. So let me see if I get this straight. He kills off the old experiment to start the new experiment, but for some reason kept the Animen around even though he knew they were a failed experiment, and continued Experiment 91, which were the kids in the ship. But that doesn't make sense. That is actually contradictory to how the high evolutionary is. You see, the reason they did that is because if they actually had the high evolutionary do what he's supposed to do, he would have killed off the Animan years ago off screen. But the movie can't have that. The movie needs to show you him killing the Animan. So to do that, they actually have to have it that the high evolutionary basically contradicts himself to keep the Animan around long enough, so that way when Quill explains it, oh, now I can kill the Animan because now the audience can see me kill these animals. Not that you as an audience cared that the civilization that was in the city died. No, that's okay. That's okay. So it doesn't make sense for him to have kept the Animan around for years if he already considered them a failed experiment years ago and already started experiment 91. But here's the other thing. The reason he considers the Animan a failure is because they don't have, I think the term he used was inventive thinking. They don't have inventive thinking because all they have is rote memory. I think that's the term he used. All they can do is just memorize and remember what they're taught. They can't come up with anything on their own. Rocket was the only one who could only come up with something with new things on their own. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You see, you have one of the Animan selling meth. Well, how did the Animan get meth unless they invented the meth? Otherwise, the high evolutionary taught the Animan how to make meth, because if they weren't taught how to make meth, they would have had to have had inventive thinking to have created the meth in the first place. Now, even though it's math and it's not exactly a great invention, it's still an example of inventive thinking. Not only that, the Animan are bred to be nonviolent. All the violence has been taken out of them. They should have absolutely no violent tendencies whatsoever. Yet you see Animan beating up other Animan, being violent. Well, that's an example of inventive thinking. They are going beyond what they are being taught. It's not a good example. It's not a nice thing, but that is exactly what the high evolutionary wants from his creations, inventive thinking. The fact that it's math is irrelevant to him. The fact that it's violence is irrelevant to him. It should be the fact that they are establishing inventive thinking, which is what he wanted from Rocket Raccoon. So by his own logic, he should not have killed the Animan because they are establishing inventive thinking. Oh, and the Sovereign. Why are the Sovereigns still alive? He says in this movie he considers the Sovereign a failed experiment. If one of the reasons you are considering the high evolutionary as this vile villain is because once he's done with an experiment, he kills them off, how about actually doing that, movie? How about actually having it that when he considers an experiment, a creation, a failed experiment, how about actually killing them off? But he doesn't. The Sovereign should have been killed off years ago, but apparently he's still keeping them around even though they're a failed experiment. And not only that. So let me see if I get this straight. The Sovereign were created by the high evolutionary, and the Sovereign are loyally faithful to the high evolutionary. But in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where they're introduced, they never actually tell the High Evolutionary about Rocket Raccoon. Now, I understand why, because in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, they never there was no High Evolutionary for them to be able to bring them to. Okay, that's fine. Then why have the Sovereign in this movie in the damn first place? They served no purpose other than establishing how full of shit it was to have the Sovereign in the damn first place. If you never had the Sovereign in this movie, you would have never established that it makes no sense that the Sovereign are alive. With Adam Warlock, why is Adam Warlock in this movie? He's irrelevant to the movie. He's irrelevant to the story. He serves no purpose other than to establish to anybody who actually knows who he is that he's an idiot, and it makes no sense. Oh, and here's another question. Here's a question for you. What the hell is on Adam Warlock's forehead? Huh? Please, somebody tell me it's the Soul Stone. Why is there something? Okay, you want to know? Okay, this is my theory. This is why there's something on Adam Warlock's forehead. Somebody showed James Gunn a picture of Adam Warlock, saw that there was something on his forehead, and went, "Oh, okay, we'll just do that." It's not like the movie. It's not like in the movie it explains that whatever's on his forehead is his power source. They could have done that. They could have spent 3 seconds to go, "Oh, that's his power source. That's why it exists." Nope, they didn't bother. Apparently, the James Gunn saw a picture of Adam Warlock, saw that there was something on his forehead, didn't care what it was, didn't matter what it was, and just went, "Yeah, okay, we'll just put that in the movie," because it's not like anybody who was in this, who was a part of this movie actually read a comic book involving Adam Warlock to even know what the hell was on his forehead. It's just, it was just so frustrating. What else? Oh yeah, so they have to go to Orgo Corp or whatever it's called. I can't remember. And they have to get to these 3 plasma shields, right? After they get to the 3 plasma shields, once they get to the 3rd plasma shields, they look out the ship, and there's Ravagers. And it's like, well, how would the Ravagers get in there? How did the Ravagers get in there? There's Ravagers. Like, yes, that snake guy ends up teleporting them into, the Guardians of the Galaxy ship. But before he does that, they look out the window and there's Ravagers around. What happened to all the security around the plant, the building, right? The organic structure, to be able to go, "Hey, look, there's a whole bunch of Ravagers around. Maybe we should do something." Oh, and by the way, the reason Nebula is helping them is because, or the reason Gamora is helping them is because Nebula promised Gamora 100,000 credits. Out of curiosity, I wonder if she ever actually pays the 100,000 credits, because it's never mentioned ever again. And where would they have gotten 100,000 credits? They don't have any money. And apparently Gamora just forgets about it, even after she wants to leave. Anyway. Oh yeah, at the end of the, again, these are all small little things, but they were just funny to me. At the end of the movie, Gamora finally understands Groot, and it's like, well, like how? How does Gamora just suddenly understand Groot? I don't know. Movie doesn't know. Not only that, so all it takes is you just eventually learn the language of Groot. Well, if that's the case, then why? I forget which movie it was, but Thor goes, "Oh yeah, I can speak Groot because I took an elective," and it's like, why? Apparently, you just eventually learn and understand Groot by osmosis, I guess. Because apparently the movie, even the movies don't even know how Groot's language works. They're just making it up as they go along. Oh, speaking of language, I love this. So Drax ends up being able to talk to the kids, right? How the hell does Drax know the language that the kids know when even Mantis goes, "It's a language my translator can't pick up"? So let me see if I get this straight. Somehow, pulled out of their ass, Drax somehow knows a language that even Mantis's translator doesn't know? Hey, movie, how? Oh, well, apparently, because Gamora goes, why didn't you say you know the language? Screw that question. The question should have been, how the hell do you know the language? But they can't have her ask that because they have absolutely no way to justify how Drax could know this language because even the movie doesn't know. They just pulled it out of their ass. Just... Oh, also, at the end of the movie, right, when, by this point, they established that the High Evolutionary has the ability to control gravity, has all these powers, have all these abilities. He ends up confronting Rocket, right? And Rocket he's facing off Rocket. Rocket ends up taking out a gun. I love this. The High Evolutionary is looking at Rocket. Rocket is doing this little, I forget what he's saying, but while he's doing it, he's taking out a gun, he's pulling it out, it's building up, and then he points it at the High Evolutionary. The entire time that Rocket is doing his little speech, the entire time that Rocket is building his gun, the High Evolutionary just looks at him and does nothing. Does nothing. Why wouldn't the High Evolutionary... apparently the High Evolutionary doesn't know what a gun is. He's seeing Rocket pulling out a gun, extending it, building it, and he just lets him. Like, why wouldn't the High Evolutionary, while Rocket is building his gun, just blast him with the gravity attack that he was doing 5 seconds ago? Well, you can't do that because then the High Evolutionary would win. It's just, this is just like the High Evolutionary is being attacked by Rocket as a kid and doesn't even try to get him off. Doesn't even try to get him off. Oh, and apparently, Rocket was slashing at his face so much that it took off all the skin. Okay. This is the High Evolutionary who is a biological genius, who created a machine that allows an animal to go through numerous amounts of evolutionary stages in a matter of 2 minutes, but doesn't know how to replicate doesn't know how to have the biological skills to fix his face. He's got to put a mask. He can't, a biological genius can't figure out how to heal his face, his facial scar. This is so stupid. Why is his face like that? Why is he still alive? It's the Dark Knight all over again. When you see Harvey Dent in the hospital and he's right, and he turns, you see his face, and then he turns around and the other half is basically melted off. You're looking at him and going, how the hell is he still alive? That's the same thing I did. That's the same thing I was my same reaction when I saw the remains of what was supposed to be the High Evolutionary's face. I'm going, how are you still alive? How are you not screaming in pain or anything? Because nobody knows, nobody cares. Just accept it and let's move on. I'm sure there's other stuff, but I can't think of it. I basically got... Rocket... Okay, the passkey. Okay, so let me see if I get this straight. The High Evolutionary tells Rocket Raccoon that you're not going to go to the new world. I'm going to kill you all tomorrow. Rocket goes back into his cage and scrounges around and gets pieces of tech that ends up being the passkey to the door. Why would he have that? He wants to go to the new world. As far as he knew, he was going to the new world. He wanted to go to the new world. The reason Rocket and Lila and Teeth and Floor were dealing with the fact that they were in cages, and the reason they were accepting it was because the eventual expectation that they were going to eventually go to the new world. So there was absolutely no reason for Rocket to ever want to escape. There was no reason for Rocket to ever want to get pieces of tech that could end up becoming a passkey to be able to escape. Apparently, Rocket, without any intention or desire to ever want to escape, decided that he's going to set up pieces of a passkey so in case he ever wants to escape. It's basically the High Evolutionary building a planet with a bomb in it just in case he ever wants to build. Apparently, characters in this movie can preordain what they want to have happen before anything even remotely necessary actually happens. And it's easily fixed. It's easily fixed. All they had to do was have it that the High Evolutionary tells Rocket that you're dying tomorrow, and just have it that Rocket, steals a passkey off of somebody. That's it. But no, apparently Rocket prepared ahead of time a passkey that he didn't want or didn't need, just in case he might ever want to use it, whatever. But yeah, that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is the movie you guys all love, and I don't. I'm sure there's other stupid, and I'll probably think about it. I'll probably remember it 10 minutes after, I'm done this video. But I'm done. I've said my piece. I think I pretty much established what a broken mess of brain dead stupid this movie is already. I don't think I need to add on anymore. Which kind of leads to another thing, which is kind of curious. Why is it that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is getting such praise, but Quantumania is being trashed? It's the same thing. It's the same formula. It's quite literally the same formula. It's the same beats. It's the same plot. It's the same story. Well, not the same story, but it's the same formula. So why is it that you're trashing Quantumania, but you're praising Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3? And again, the only thing I can think of and the only thing that I can see is because there was the flashbacks of Rocket Raccoon, and the High Evolutionary was mean to Rocket Raccoon. That's it. So I guess if in Quantumania, if Kang was mean to an animal, it would have been just as amazing and just as good as Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I really don't get it. I swear to God, sometimes the way you guys decide what you like and what you don't like is so arbitrary. I swear to God, sometimes I think you flip a coin before you guys flip a coin to figure out whether you like a movie or not. It really is. Anyway, I rambled on long enough. For those of you who have been bugging me, where's the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 rant? There's your Guardians of the Galaxy 3 rant. You happy? There you go. It's not enough. It wasn't enough that I had to watch the damn movie. I had to make a video reliving the goddamn thing. But whatever. But why? But you see, I'm here for you. I do this for you. It's just the kind of guy I am. I just give and give and give. I'm such a hell of a nice guy. Sometimes if it wasn't, sometimes I would be amazed of how amazing I am, except it's just such an expectation at this point that it's hardly surprising anymore. Anyway, I'll shut up now. I'm out of here. See ya.